Okay, welcome back to Happy Chappa, and I was just thinking about what we are and what we've come to learn, the differences in what is made belief and what actually is and who we are. So, excuse me if I take a drink in between, but in science and everything that we've been taught in my time in this life is that we are a physical body. And we think with our brain and we use our senses to feel, to give a vibrational signal to that brain. And so we get a thought about how we are observing in how our senses is alert to what's outside of us. And so you would see everything outside of us would be giving us a way to think and feel, which kind of takes us away from who we are in the truth of what is actually happening there. Because it's not what we see outside that is creating all that. It's the vibration that we hold in this body, through our brain, through our heart, through all our organs, through our bones, through every layer that's within who we are, is multiple layers of energy, transmuting in between each other, interlinking into each other to create what we call a body. And so in that, what you're finding is it's vibrating and it's creating pictures for us to see outside of who we are in that vibration, in that multi-universe. As a multiple universes we'd see outside of us is multiple differences of different vibrations of energy, which is what we are within who we are. And so what we're really seeing is a vibration of who we are within in a visual. And so every time we look in the mirror, we're seeing a reflection of how we would see that vibration as a person. And so we would see ourselves as body. But that still isn't who we are. Yet what you can start to see is everything that we're seeing outside of us is a reflection of who we are in that vibration that we hold within that body. And so when we see things that's outside of us that we find conflicting with who we are as we see our body, as we would look in the mirror, and how we would sense in that body, we have to look at what is conflicting, what is actually happening in the body and the vibration of what it is that's making out here conflicting with who you are as that body that you would see in the reflection of a mirror, but not who you truly be in the vibration, but the reflection of the multi-universe that you are as vibration. And so when you can do that and look at what's out here and how that affects you in here, you can start to see how you're thinking in that vibrational field and how them thoughts brings about a feeling in your vibrational field, in that field of universal field that you hold. And so in that universal field that you hold in your thinking and feeling, you will get to, at that pivotal moment that you recognize it, you can see what you're thinking at that specific time and capture them thoughts and feelings and look at why you are looking at it this way. Not just look at it in that way as you catch it, but look at why you're looking at it in this way. And when you look at it in the sense of why you're looking at it in this way, you'll get to reason with yourself, to see it in another way that is non-conflicting to you. And so then you get to recognize the problem that you've picked up within you in that vibration that you see outside of you, yet it's within who you be, in a part of your universal held within you of vibrations. And so you recognize how you're feeling a certain way and why you're feeling a certain way by how you're thinking. And so we're using all as vibration within the body, outside of the body. But what about when there's none of that? What about when you slow down everything, the vibration? You slow down the thoughts. You slow down the feelings. You slow down the body. You start shutting everything off. You close your eyes. You close your mouth. You place your focus on what's happening in, and so your ears start to close off and your sense of smell starts to close off. And soon you're not sensing anything but what's within that vibration. And so after so long practice and repeatedly doing this, it's like anything that you do multiple times, it becomes familiar. And so what you will find is, excuse me, what you will find is it's easier to get to this point. What you will find is that vibrations that you are is a collection of what we call consciousness. Now, consciousness, in the best way for me to explain, is everything that you sense in your awareness of who you are, of what everything is. And that consciousness can expand to, well, there's no ending. And yet it could be so small, but it could expand to endlessness. Well, it is endlessness because there is no end to it. And if I can explain this or get to a way to explain this, is when you have your conscious awareness of who you are and what everything is, if you didn't have that awareness, well, there would be no you. And so there would be nothing outside of what you would call you, because there'd be no you. Too few anything outside of you, because you would need that vibration of who you are. And so everything else would be non-existent. And so the universe that you would know would be gone. You would be gone. Yet there would still be multiple universes within multiple different people. And so if we thought about what your consciousness was aware of, if your consciousness was, this is an experiment I thought of doing one time, something that I've not done, but in similar ways, sitting in darkness for several days. But I was thinking in confined spaces, like in a box where you can't move, you're just closed off to darkness. Now, in my experience, what I found is that I became non-existent, that all I was consciousness. I didn't think, I didn't feel, Now, I was just consciousness. In that consciousness, what was happening was I'd set myself free from what this world would class as vibration. And so when I was sitting in consciousness, I say sitting, I wasn't a form of any shape, any color, of anything that you think that's of an existence. I just was in light. There was nothing but light. Absolutely nothing but light. That was it. It was endless light. And I was that endless light. I was everywhere. I wasn't just in one place. But in that endless light, you could see everything that is created in existence in vibration. Everything that you see physically. Not only could you see that, but you could see how it was created and how everything is created. Yet, physically, I didn't see it. Now, I know that sounds like such a contradiction, but how I seen it was through how I felt. And so I was able to see it. And so when I come to physical form, I'm going to explain it another way. As I walked as a physical being, I went into that light. Now, it's not normally something you'd have to be in a heightened state for it to be. Now, at this moment in my life, I was very heightened to multiple different reasons. But I could not see like you would see. Like you would see something physical. I couldn't see them things. All I could see was light. The same as when I came to stillness. All I could see was light. Now, I had my daughter with me. I was unsure what had happened at the time. I was shocked that I was able to sense and feel this while being alert to who I was as body. I didn't think this was possible. And so you may not think that this is possible, especially if you've never went to meditate or got into enlightened moments. You surely, most likely, are not going to think this is possible. But I can swear on my life that my life doesn't mean nothing because it's only an illusion, as everything is. But as I was walking in my body and with my daughter, I got my daughter to sit down as she waited for her mother, as we waited. And so I could not see, but I knew the shape of everything and where it was. I couldn't see it, but I knew it. I knew what I could walk around a room. I knew where there was a seat. I knew what it looked like, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it physically. All I could see was light. But yet, because I knew there was a seat there, there would be a seat there. If I knew that there was a wall there, there would be a wall there. And so it was. But I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it like you would see a wall or you would see a seat. All I seen was light. Yet I could walk around and not bump into anything, even though I couldn't see, because I knew where things were. And that was by being the light. And so what I really was being was consciousness, holding myself in that consciousness in body and not holding myself to the body. So what I actually did was brought the consciousness into the body in using my awareness of the body, where I'd overpowered my body through consciousness, where we are overpowering our consciousness by our awareness of our body through our senses and how we see, smell, taste, think, to all that, and how we feel as well, and how them emotions come from all that, and how we're thinking and feeling towards all our senses. And so that normally overpowers our consciousness, and so we become familiar with our thoughts and feelings. And it's normally a cycle that we carry out, and we do these cycles in regular things, jobs, activities that we love to do, eating times. We have a clock to put us in regulation. Everything's regulated, so we're all of us in a cycle, so everything's expected to be in that certain way or thereabouts. And so we're taken away from the consciousness that we are, and we're made believe that we are just this body. Now, as I was that consciousness within the body, but not seeing myself as body, I hail myself in consciousness, and I hail everything around me in consciousness. I was able to carry on in my life, to be just like you, but not to see the world in the same way as you. To see the world in just light. Everything was the exact same. Just pure light. I didn't see anything in its shape or form that you would see. But through the power of consciousness, I knew where everything was. And so I got to learn about consciousness on a higher level, understanding how consciousness can create things to collapse into shape in that form of light. But yet, you can have whatever shape or design that you could wish for and not even see it if you held yourself in consciousness. But yet, it would be there because you would have designed it and how you felt about it. Not so much thought about it, but felt about it. In what you felt and who you were, in what you knew you were, in the true essence of what you are, in that light that carries multiple vibrations that holds the body together to create that universal vibration that's within you. And so while I was able to do that and expand outside of my body, but yet being within, I was able to see within and outside of me. Yet I couldn't see any physical shape or form. I was just light, and everything else was just light. And so I was everything, yet I was still this person as a body, able to move with my daughter and wait for her mother to come and pick her up, while I was still everywhere to be seen. As I seen myself, and through my eyes, that is all that I could see was just light. And so, at this time of happening, it pretty much went like this. And it was a shock, as in, I didn't expect it to come upon me. So after time, as I meditated multiple times, I've come into that experience, and I realized what everything was, just what we are. And so when you look at the world, for example, you can put a ring around it. Not in a global sense. If you see it on a map, You put a ring around that world. And then think of that as like an island. And on that island is one part of the world. Now you roll that round and think of all the rest of the world. If you cross the borders of the walls that surrounds that island, what's outside of that? And there's so much more. And so what I'm saying is we're trapped in an island of an illusion. That we're made believe in one way, in one thing, and that there's nothing more. And everything that I've told you, if you reflect back at you, now, you don't have to believe what I say. I'm not asking you to believe in me at all. I don't give a monkeys if you believe me or not. I'm saying for you, if you have any questions or would have a hope within you that there's something more, all I'm saying is there is. There's so much more. And what I'm saying is you have the power to access this. And how you're going to do it is by being aware of who you are. Meditation is one great way of doing this. But I would say a lot of knowledge and understanding of the body and how the body functions. Start looking from every little particle, every cell. And if you start looking at it and breaking the body down into different pieces, what you'll find is different energies. But it's all pretty much the same when it comes down to the smallest little particles. And what you will find is that consciously, then you're not the body. That you connect to who you are, what you are, being the light. And that light flows through you in vibration. And so you think from a vibration that comes in and out of who you are. And so you will see light outside of you, and you will see shape or object, and it will vibrate through you, and you will see pictures. And like I was seeing was the reflection of me. I was in my purest. I was seeing light outside of me. I was seeing light within me. I was all of the light. I wasn't caught up in thoughts or feelings about the physical world or feeling attached to anything. Even though I was aware I was in the physical world and I was with my daughter, but I don't see my daughter or any of my family or friends that I had at that time as attachments, as in such. My beliefs is we are all on a journey, and we're always in the right place at the right time where we're supposed to be. In some cases you could argue with that and say, oh, well, how come they're passed away and this happened to them? Because that was their life. That's what they had to go through. Now, then you would be returned into a new life and you would have to go through another sequence and so on until you had crossed over enough times to learn to stop doing sin, what we call sin. So you become pure. And this comes about when you understand vibration, because the more negative things that we do, we stay lower in the vibration. And so when that happens, the chances of death quicker and returning to another life will keep coming about, because you aren't rising in who you are. You aren't becoming the light being that you can become. And so you never rise in consciousness to understand the heights or the levels of where a human being can go. And so we're stuck in a cycle again. And so you're reborn into another life. And so whatever lessons you didn't learn in the last life, it comes around again for you to learn. And if you don't learn them in that, or if you do, for example, there'll be something else in that life that you have to learn. And so it will end and come back to another life. Until you've did enough times of that, where you've learned who you are, where you can remember who you are, being the light. So if you ask me how many times I died, I can't tell you. I can't remember that far back, but I can remember many lives back of different lives that I've went through. And I can also remember the light in this life that I've captured and brought myself back and forth to multiple times to understand this process that I'm telling you. Now, as I say, it's going to be hard to believe, especially if you haven't meditated or reached the heightened levels. So you're probably going to have to go through them processes before you could ever agree or come to agree with me or find out knowledge about what you are. I'm not saying spiritually or mentally, but physically, to understand how the physical body works. And so when you can understand that, technically, I should be able to throw myself into that wall and spread out and you would not see me. And I don't mean splattered. I mean into the wall, be the wall. I could even walk through the wall. I could disappear. And I could end up somewhere else. And you wouldn't have seen me move from one place to the other because of the power of the light. By switching back and forth into light and into man. Yet, you would probably think it was crazy to say that, but when you look at the biology of the whole body and how it functions and break it down in every little particle, you will find that there's nothing there really. What you call matter is like 1% or something. But if you think it's 0.1% or something like that, anyway, something so minute. So if you think of me as that 1% of this, and I'm 100%, so I break down through consciousness, there'll be 1% like a speck of dirt onto the wall. But yet there's only 1% of the wall that's matter, and the rest is space. So technically that 1% can still travel through that space because there's only 1% of it as matter. And so as 1% of me is all that I need to be able to travel through that space. But if the space is so big and only 1% of that is matter, then it should be no problem for me to travel through that wall. And for you not to see me. For me to break down to just the dust within the air. Then you wouldn't see me. As I say, if you haven't went through the whole process of understanding the body and the mind, the heart, and the thinking, the feeling, and how you reflect out here and what you're mirroring of yourself, yet you look in the mirror at yourself to be who you are, yet you talk about yourself as I've this hand and I've this hand, I've these legs, I've this body. So it's not you. It's only something that you have, because you know deep within you, even though you're consciously aware that this is your body and this is who you are, you tell everybody or even yourself that this isn't who you are. This is something that you have. And you've put it together, putting all this energy together in this universal energy that you hold within this vessel as a body. Sorry, what happened was your parents put it together, through an act of love, which create a consciousness within you. And so you got the body to grow in that consciousness, to become a form of something that will grow into body, an adult or a child or whatever. But you were in that process of an egg and a sperm meeting the egg. When they connected, a spark hit. And so that consciousness came into life with that passion, with that love of your parents. And so in that spark, you started to grow in consciousness to become body. You were holding it and growing until you became a body. And so then you could hold your own consciousness. And while you came to hold your own consciousness, you came out seeing like I was seeing. Light. Nothing but light. You seen yourself as light. You seen everything around you as light. But as everything interacted with you that was consciousness in other forms, like your parents, your siblings, your friends, your family who was surrounding you, and all these interactions kept coming at you. I believe it's 6 months. After 6 months, then vibrations started turning into pictures in how you were vibrating and how they were vibrating, that you were picking up their vibration to see just like they would see. But to see them in the form of your own visual view. But through the same vibrations, because you were in the same field of where they were being, within your space. And so you soon lost the way to see in who you are and what you are in that light. And so you started to soon be like all these other consciousness that was kept in this island of this is all that we are as body. Yet each and every one of us know that this isn't how we arrived here. We arrived as the light. And everybody's seen a body, come from a body, because that's what they expected to see. But what we seen was the light in who we were, and the light in everything that we see. Until we were able to collapse consciousness into a shape and form, which was helped by the consciousness that was around us in their physical shape and form, in how they seen themselves to be, and how they would hold their body to be in that universal energy that they held as a body, but forced it into who we would be in that magnetism of physical objects. And so we soon picked up on that vibration and started to see just like one another. And as I say, we can go back to see in that way. We can go back to see in the light and create the vibrations, which means everything that you see and can't see, and anything that you wanted to see, you could see in how you felt by being the light. So whatever you would desire in life or wish for, you could have it. It would mean, a lot of work to clear everything that you've learned, but you would go back to be able to see in the true form of everything and how it's created. And you'd be able to sense that and feel it. And because you would be, you would understand how it comes about in the power of you, in that consciousness that you be, that you class as you in the body. But yet you know deep within that consciousness that's within that body is telling you this is something you have, and that's why you say, these are my hands, these are my eyes, this is my mouth, these are my ears. Because you know deep within your consciousness that that's not you. You're not the body. And so that's why you say it that way, because you know. I know. We all know. And it's right in front of us. Yet we don't see it that way because we see what's in front of us in the physical form, but we miss to see the spiritual side of who we be. In that matter that we hold together, which is just vibration in 1%, just say it is. is all that we are, and so that 1% could dive into 1% of anything else, or dive through it. And so we would be whatever we wished to be. We could form in whatever shape we wanted to be. We could disappear if we wanted to. We could come back if we wanted to. And so I could go on forever about this because there's so much. As I say, the light's endless and it's an endless talk. There's so many things that you could question on. And I do want to do something where I can have people question and explain it all. But I don't think YouTube's a great job for that. And that's why I haven't done it yet. I'm the kind of person, I can feel something. As I say, being in the light, I can understand how someone on another end is asking me a question. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, right, you didn't think that up. You've looked up that and you're looking to try to look for a fault in me. But you're not going to find a fault in my truth. That's the thing. You can't find a fault in truth. So it's bullshit. And so I don't have time for them people that are looking for faults while they're not looking for the experience of who they are. And that's all I'm trying to do, is show that you can find this experience in you. It's not for me. I found mine. I just want to share the greatness that I've found in me by finding this that you can find in you, and how unbelievable it is, of course, that you'll probably be able to see if you haven't got that heightened enlightenment in consciousness in some form or another. And sometimes it may come to a shocking way, or a big part of excitement in some form, where you could get this enlightenment. But otherwise, you're probably going to think this is bollocks. And I can understand where you're coming from if you were thinking that way. But if you can understand just me in saying that, but what do I get out of it? I don't get nothing out of it. There's nothing in it for me. The only thing I get out of it is knowing I've helped somebody feel what I felt. And because it was so, well, it is out of this world, because you're not in this world only for the illusion. And so when you're able to step out of that and see everything and see how magnificent everything is, then you can just change your life to be happy in who you are, no matter what the fuck's going on out here. And even if there is something that bothers you out here, you'll know how to correct it. And that's what I get out of it. I get great pleasure out of seeing somebody else happy. And so I know if you got to this height that you would understand how to be happy in who you are. Some people just get off in putting other people down and things like that because they're so low in who they are, and when they can hurt another, they feel good about it in their low, because it gives them a quick spike in energy and lift up to feel as if they were in the light. But as soon as they're going up, they're coming back down, and they never stay in a height of good vibes because it's not good. And so their energy drops low. And it stays low. You get wee spikes here and there, but you're never up here. Never when you're doing things that's just ill upon others, because what you're doing is you're really attacking yourself. And so when you see something where you can help another, well, then that gives you lifts like you've never felt before, if you've always been in a low end of the spectrum of energy, movement and usage and how to attack others. Then you will never know what it's like until you do something that is helping others without looking for something in return. Just doing it because you know it feels good. And it fucking does. It feels good to see somebody else feeling good. the vibration links to you, you're magnetized to them, and to give that off and then to feel it coming back of you, you're doubling your flipping feelings and emotions of what you've done. You're feeling good for what you've done. You're also feeling good because they're feeling good, and that vibration is bouncing back and forth between you. And so that's what I get out of it. Yet I'm not going to see people that's across the other side, but I'll still feel it. And just like that, I'll feel when they're doing something that's fucked up and trying to fuck with me. Doesn't matter where you are. All you have to do is try it and I'll feel it. And so I'm not going to give it entertainment on the likes of YouTube, where some plonker has something to say at a distance, but nothing in here to back up what they say, and yet still be able to break it down because I'm telling me truth. You see, I have nothing to lie about, but I will answer questions, not back and forth, when I get the right setup or place to be, to have the right setup, to explain myself. If anyone's got a question, how to get to it, and how I got to it in different ways, or if you've questions about that, you've tried this, that, or whatever, in ways that I may be able to help you. And I want to see the person face to face. It tells me so much more about who they are. Not just the vibration, but I like to see the truth. And so what I like to see is when they are not truthful, because I can cut that shit out before it even gets started. So when I know when we're chatting face to face and somebody's just talking garbage and looking for trouble, then I'll be able to cut that out. Just cut it down. And you see, with YouTube, you have this where it's just people joining in with fake profiles full time. I see it on multiple people's channels, and I'm thinking, fuck that. I just wouldn't have the time for that. I wouldn't even be interacting with anybody, because then there's always some other gobshite that's going to come in and interact with that negativity. And I don't want that. I want people that are on the same vibration and looking to hit them heights of doing good for one another, so they can feel that vibration bouncing off one another. And so maybe setting up some kind of room where everyone's chatting to one another and that is looking for that vibration in consciousness, to extend their consciousness through awareness and knowledge, to open up to get to that point of being in their truth. Well, being in the light of truth. But being in your truth and who you are physically is a big part of it too. Accepting yourself and not accepting yourself as others would want you to be and how they would see you to be. Anyway, this is only a video. I don't even know if I'm putting this up or not. It's just, I was thinking about this and I thought, I'll do a video about it. Maybe I'll pull up, maybe I won't. But it's possibly something that I will do in the future, set up some sort of conference room or set up where I can have the same kind of people, spiritual seekers of some sort, looking to find that higher consciousness and just talking about different ways. And of course, it's not all about what I know, it's about what each and every one of us know, and there's always an expansion on what consciousness we have through what other people's experiences have been. As I say, my consciousness awareness and what I've seen in the light, and how I've seen how everything else is created into structure, that still doesn't give me the experiences that other people have. And so I would enjoy interacting with people who's had them experiences that they've had, no matter what their experience is, but as long as they're looking towards the light. So I'd be intrigued to see their lives and to see where they've came from and where they're going, and how I could help them in what I'd see that in what they've went through, and how things that they may have went through that would have related to me, and how I've dealt with them things in myself, or how they've dealt with them and maybe helped me even more who I am at moving back and forth and who I am. And so we'll be always helping one another. And so that's maybe something that I'll plan for the near future, and something to do where we can have some kind of meeting. Now, I've talked about something like this before as a mastermind class, but this would be something more. But it would be like that, a mastermind. We're mastering our consciousness, master consciousness instead of mastermind. And so we'll be mastering our consciousness and becoming into our truth. So this is possibly something I'm going to do in the near future. Not something I planned. I just thought I'd do a video, and this is where I'm at now. And because I haven't really been putting videos up recently, it's something that I'm now thinking about after doing this video. There's possibly something that I will do. And yeah, just putting that out there. So be aware. And if you're interested, maybe just, if I do put this up on YouTube, but leave a comment, let me know if you're interested. And it would push me to do something, set up something of some sort. Anyway, if you got this far, thank you for listening. Much appreciated. And love and peace.